Yo, what is going on, you guys? XYZ here, and today I'm coming at you with a tier list. I know, crazy, I don't really do this very often, but I wanted to go ahead and go over with you guys some of the best side deck cards to go into this upcoming event. So we just had a YCS Peru happen this past weekend. Again, I am recording this on the day of YCS Peru, so I have not been able to see the full deck list yet. So if there's any spice that I missed, please let me know and I'll go ahead and address it accordingly. But I want to go ahead and give you guys at least my initial thought process as far as what I believe the best side deck cards are going to be, what I believe they are currently, and how I'm going to be ranking them for this current format. So we just had Maze of Memories drop just last week, so that's not really going to be shaking up the format too much. It is going to make Bear on the Floor a lot more accessible, Photon Orbital a lot more accessible, Guardian Chimera for us branded Despia players out there. Shout out to you guys as well. Shout out to Sword Sword players. And I can go ahead and get Baron for 40 bucks instead of 120, which is a huge change. So that's amazing change for the game. Essentially, Konami's been doing a very good job as far as reprinting necessary cards. Ash Blossom, Evenly, Lightning Storm, you know, these cards that are pretty much going to be the staple cards of the format. Triple Tactic Thrust just came out, but it's really not seeing as much play as I originally thought. But I'm getting a little bit off topic and it's starting to ramble, guys. But what I'm trying to get at, guys, we're going to be doing a tier list today of the best side deck cards for the current format in March 2023. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, guys, so here we have our tier list for the best side deck cards of the March 2023 format, post the February 2023 ban list. So with that being said, I do have a few cards I want to go ahead and of course show to you guys. So if I missed anything, let me know in the comment section down below and go ahead and discuss whether I think it's valid or not so valid. So our rankings so far are must play, very good, decent, too situational, and cheeks being the worst side deck cards you could possibly play in the current format. So all these cards are going to be influenced by what is currently getting played. What might have been good is not currently anymore good because players are starting finding ways to go ahead and play around these type of cards. So just go ahead and keep in mind, you know, those type of things. So without further ado, guys, to get right into it, first up we got Book of Eclipse. Book of Eclipse is obviously I think is going to be a must play. So Book of Eclipse has a very phenomenal way of pretty much just shutting off your opponent's board without having to negate anything. It just flips everything face down and then you're good to go about your place and just start popping your opponent's monsters right off the board. Pretty much doing what Darko No More did, but just a lot more efficiently as well. Pretty much shutting off absolutely everything. Only reason I played this over a card like Darko No More is because essentially in the Kashtira matchup, which is still considered to be one of the best decks of the format, I want to say it's a lot more even playing field at this point, but Kashtira is still seen, of course, as #1 because it can lock out your entire playing field essentially. But this even with Shangri-La, because it is a what's it called, a blanket effect, on continuous effect, even if you negate it, the zones will still get locked. But this actually is a good way to go hanging around that by go ahead and book and mooting everything face down. Also gets rid of any Fenrir effects, unicorn effects that might activate as well, not just against Kashtira, of course against Sword Soul. Previously, I have seen a lot of Sword Sword players not go for the Baron first, which is kind of risky, I want to say, at this point, just because, of course, Nibiru is still a threat, Book of Eclipse still a threat, things like that. So it is to keep in mind this does affect these cards as well. Now, players have started to play cards like not Artifact Lancia, they started to play cards like Forbidden Lance, I should say, in their decks to combat this, but it's still just a matter of who's able to get to the out first. So Book of Eclipse, with that being said, it's going to be a must play for this current format. So other cards that let's go ahead and we'll go in order, guys. Let me not get ahead of myself. So next I have Bystials. So Bystials have dropped off the face of the earth, I'm not gonna lie to you, as far as viability, as far as they used to be up here. Bystials used to be a must play. You had to go ahead and play them. They gave you free body on board, dark slides, whatever it might be. During the tier element format, it of course was a must play. Now it has fallen to, I want to say it's a decent to 2 situational. I'm gonna put this at the high end of 2 situational, where the best decks of the format right now are Sword Soul, of course branded Despia, of course you have Kashtira, and I want to put Track Trips up there, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, Labyrinth. So I think those are the top 5 decks of the format. If you guys want to go see a video on that, well, I just gave it to you in about 30 seconds. But the majority of those decks do not play light and dark monsters. Trap Tricks is Earth, Labyrinth doesn't really put too many cards in the graveyard. I mean, they pretty much have traps in the graveyard. The rest, they just bounce it back to their hands. What else? You have Sword Soul with a plethora of plenty of different attributes to choose from. Branded Despia does hit, and then Cashier does hit, but with Cashier, they might get banished regardless, and they're not only darks, I mean, they play other cards, so it just become a lot less reliable of an engine to go off of and play. So that's a big reason why I believe that this is too situational. Next are going to be 2 cards, 2 in 1 really. I have Change of Heart and Mind Control. So Change of Heart, I want to put them at a must play because they are phenomenal cards going second. Struggling with this one, I'm going to go ahead and put it at the top of very, very good. Both Mind Control and Change of Heart, because they're phenomenal cards, don't get me wrong. The only gripe I have with these is that because cards like Forbidden Lands also being put into the side decks as well, to go ahead and combat not just these 2 cards, but Book of Eclipse as well, because they're both at 1 is far less likely for it to resolve. It's much more likely that they will be able to get the Lancia to counter this instead of you being able to pull the 1-of. So that's a big reason why I'm going to put these at the very, very top of very good, because they are phenomenal cards to go ahead and play. They work exceptionally well in each and every single matchup you go up against, except probably Labyrinth. But every single other matchup, these cards are absolutely game changers, honestly, and I think that's where they're going to be at the top of very, very good. Next I have Cosmic Cyclone. So Cosmic Cyclone, I'm gonna put at very good. So a lot of the decks right now are spell and trap reliant. So what does that mean? Cashier has to rely on the Cashier Birth and the Cashier Field spells. Sword Soul, less likely, but you can still go ahead and pop their Blackout. With a Labyrinth, of course, you can go ahead and hit any of their Floodgates. You can go ahead and hit the Field spell. You can go ahead and chain it to the Big Welcome, so it's not in the graveyard, and get other effects. You can go ahead and hit any of the big Trap Tricks traps. You go ahead and leave on the Trap Tricks Field spell as well, which does a lot more to the deck than you can really save for it. Cosmic Cyclone, I think, is a very, very good form of interruption in these instances as well. So that's why I'm gonna go ahead and put it as very, very good. It can be seen as decent at times, but I think for the majority of top decks out there right now, it does quite a bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave it right there as a very, very good card. Next I have Zombie World, which I have not seen played in a very, very long time. This is gonna go in the Cheeks category strictly because Floowandereeze is no longer as viable a deck as it once was. So why would you play against Floowandereeze when no one's playing Floowandereeze? Because that deck has you want to talk about falling off the edge of a cliff, side of a rock, whatever it might be. Zombie World is just not necessary at the current time. I mean, if you're playing for Floowandereeze, you must really hate summoning Robina or that getting done to you. So I just want to go ahead and put that out there. Next, guys, I have Dark Hole. So Dark Hole, I'm actually going to put in the very, very good category. Dark Hole, not only does it of course clear your opponent's board, it actually helps you out the Ibley luck, which is actually going to be a very, very big part in this format. So if you guys, again, this is coming out after YCS Peru, and next is going to be Houston Regional as well, and a few other regionals as well coming up as in the near future. So with that being said, Dark Hole is going to see a lot of play, I personally believe, just because the Ibley luck, while there are other ways to get around it, with the Cashier strategy specifically, they might be able to go ahead and banish your Lingaribo, banish your Ausa, or whatever other card you are using to go ahead and get around that as well. So I think Dark Hole is going to be a very, very good side deck card in this format. Next, I have Artifact Lancia, which I've accidentally said a few times already. Artifact Lancia is a must play. Why? Why is Artifact Lancia a must play? It really only prevents your opponent from banishing for 1 turn. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you, in the event that your opponent knows you're not playing Nibiru, or just wants to go ahead and go clean off with the Cashier strategy, this card right here allows you to not get completely locked out of your deck. That's crazy. Or not locked out of your deck, but locked out of summoning or activating any cards. So the Cashier full combo can lock out the majority, if not all of your zones in turn 1. Right, so with that being said, Lancia prevents that from happening, and it gives you the option to continue playing at least on your turn. So it prevents it from being a quick match from right off the bat, in order to allow it to give you a chance to play if you are going second against this deck. Going first, I think Cashier is going to be a little bit more cautious to just go ahead and go clean off before they know exactly what it is that you're playing. But in the event that you're playing a deck that naturally does not play a lot of hand traps, they may go full combo on you game 2, and that's where Artifact Lancia really comes into play. Next, I have Contact C. So Contact C, I'm going to put it as a decent hand trap in the current moment, a decent side deck card, I should say, in the current moment. So with Contact C, I think it used to be really, really good, especially the first week. After the new ban list came out and all those type of things, and we got Photon Hypernova, I think Contact C was phenomenal. Absolutely, probably one of the best. It was definitely a must play. Now, because we are planning for Contact C, we're playing for the ibley luck, things like that, a lot more players are playing cards that allow you to get rid of the Contact C. I think the only real deck this actually does a lot of work against is probably going to be the Branded Despia strategy. But besides that, Contact C is not really seen as a big threat in most matchups as well. If you're going to be going up against like Sword Soul, they play that that Fur Hire Link monster. Any other deck's going to be able to go ahead and get around this. Don't even try summoning against Trap Tricks because this is an insect monster which they can go ahead and use to link off. So just a lot of things like that as well. I think that with that being said, is it a decent one? You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it as decent. It can be too situational at this point, but I think it's good enough to where it can at least be considered a decent side deck card. We have Ghost Spell. So Ghost Spell is again gonna be a decent card. Now, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put Contact C at too situational. I'll put Ghost Spell at decent. The reason why, Contact C is really only good against one real big deck in the format, whereas Ghost Spell can go ahead and not only hit the Labyrinth strategy, it can also hit the Branded Despia strategy as well. So that is something to keep in mind, that is a little bit more versatile. So Ghost Spell I'm going to go ahead and put at decent. Still not a bad card. It's not a card that I would personally put into my side deck, but I can definitely see the applicability of this card in this current format. Next, I have Regeki. So Regeki falls in similar with the Dark Hole. Board breakers, cards that destroy your opponent's board, can pretty much reset the field, are phenomenal in this current format. So again, best deck of the format right now, still considered to be Kashtira. That may change with this YCS that just happened. Again, pre-recording. It might change with future regionals and whatever it might be, but as it stands, Kashtira is still #1 deck, and because they do not set up any Omni Negates on their turn, you have to go ahead and play these cards in order to give yourself a chance to be able to go ahead and break their board. Regeki, Dark Hole, all are going to be phenomenal, and I'm going to go ahead and put Torrential Tribute in here as a... Okay, so Torrential Tribute is specific really for either Labyrinth or Trap Tricks. I'm going to go ahead and put it as a decent one because it is more centric around what deck you are playing and not necessarily what is best for the board, right? So with Torrential Tribute is a phenomenal card. It actually does very, very well in Trap Trick strategies, especially just because your cards are unaffected by trap cards as well. So actually it's really, really good because your cards will remain unaffected, and then your opponent's board is going to get completely wiped out. So that is something to keep in mind if you are playing Trap Trick strategy or Labyrinth as well. Torrential Tribute is really good for those, but it's not the best for all of them. So it is going to be situational as far as which decks you're going up against, but it is definitely good enough to where you can put it in the decent strategy. I have Darko No More coming up next. So Darko No More has kind of taken a big step down as far as one of the best cards in the format to play. I'm going to go ahead and put it as a decent one because it does still do very... Oh, I forgot about Sprite. My goodness. Talk about that earlier. But yeah, so with Darko No More, it shuts down the Sprite board, which really is going to be relying a lot more on main deck support, monster support in order to do negations. So Darko No More actually does a lot against Sprite variants in general, which is going to be really, really good. But with that being said, it doesn't shut off the zone blocking from Kashtira. Even with this being said, Sword Soul can still go ahead and rebuild the same board. It can still go ahead and make sure it has the big monsters on board, which you still have to go ahead and get over. Darko No More, while it is a it is a phenomenal card, it's a really, really good card, I do not believe it is a top tier card at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at decent right now, but we'll see where that goes. We'll see where that goes. Like I said, I could be wrong with this one, but I believe it's going to be a decent side deck card in the current format. Next, I have Nibiru. Nibiru is going to be it's going to be a must play, guys. Nibiru is so good because the second any duelist sees that you play Nibiru either in your main or your side, whatever it might be, they immediately have to respect the Nibiru. If you're gonna get up against the cash tier strategy, game 1 you drop Nibiru on them, game 2 they will make a Rise Heart pass, or they are going to be more inclined to at least make that play. If you're going up against Sword Soul and they make their full board, you drop the Nibiru on them, next game, game 2, they are most likely going to make Baron first. All these things play a big factor as far as if they see Nibiru. So that's a big thing to go ahead and consider as well. So Nibiru, I think, is going to be definitely a must play for the current format. I think it works, of course, better in some decks than others, but with Nibiru being said, the second that a duelist sees it, no matter what deck they're playing, they have to respect it. And I believe there's going to be more of a psychological battle going on there, but honestly, I'm all for it. I think Nibiru is going to be absolutely, I know Nibiru is going to be one of the best side deck cards for the current format as well. Next, I have Denko Sekka. Denko Sekka is going to be at the top of the decent mark. The reason why I say this is because we are going into a format, or we are in a format, I should say, where spell and trap based decks, more trap based decks, control based decks are seeing a lot more play. So Denko Sekka pretty much gets rid of all that. Denko Sekka you can play this in Sprite, you can play this in Sword Soul, you can play this in what's that other deck? Castira. And really just shut off the trap trick strategy and the labyrinth strategy right off the bat. Only real way they can go ahead and get around this is, well, with trap tricks, then go ahead and special summon out a Pudica and go ahead and banish the Denko Sekka. So you can go ahead and go around it that way. It's still situational because normally you would do that by activating a Sarah's effect, but in order to activate a Sarah's effect, you need to activate a set trap, so it is not as easy as it may seem. Of course, Labyrinth can just go ahead and beat over it, but there are a lot of ways to go ahead and really take advantage of how good Denko Sekka is. Similar card, another card that you might see here, and I didn't put this in the side deck, but it would be Jinzo, which you can bring out with a card like Mannequin Cat, especially against the Labyrinth strategy. Only thing with that being said is that pretty much if you're activating Jinzo against the Labyrinth strategy, at that point they'll already have a really big monster on board with most likely 3,000 attack or 2,900 attack, which is depending on which one they summon, and they go ahead and just beat over the Jinzo and can carry on with their plays. So that's the one downside to the Jinzo strategy, but it's not a bad option to begin with. Ultimate Slayer, so with this being said, I think it's way too situational at the moment. You can play it, it's just that a lot of the top tier decks really need their extra deck in order to be able to go ahead and play, of course. So Ultimate Slayer can really, the reason why it's so far down here, because you need to be playing a deck that doesn't need its extra deck as much in order to be able to play Ultimate Slayer targets in order to benefit you. That's going to be a big strategy. A card that can definitely play this is Fluanderis. Again, not going to see the most representation at all by any means whatsoever. I'm just going to go ahead and guarantee that, obviously. So Ultimate Slayer, with that being said, it really brings down overall viability because you're not going to be trading in a part where you're really benefiting from it unless you have that. Also, getting rid of just one or few cards in your opponent's field is not going to be enough. Having to negate and completely wipe your opponent's board with cards like Regeki or Darko or Torrential are just going to be a lot more effective methods. It's not the worst card to go ahead and play, I just think it's too situational at the current moment. D-Barrier, must play. That's it, that's all I'm going to say. Evenly matched, also must play. What else would you like me to say? Both are broken, both need to be in your side deck if not your main. So yeah, just go ahead and heads up there. Solemn Judgment, sorry for the weird wonky artwork. So Solemn Judgment, with as many board breakers as are getting played, evenly matched. D-Barrier, Regeki, Darko, Change of Heart, Book of Eclipse, all type of things. I think Solemn Judgment deserves to be near the top of the list when it comes to a very, very good side deck card, especially for this current format as well. So essentially, you only side this card in if you're going first, but just having that immediate negation when your opponent says enter battle phase, end of battle phase, and you just have the Solemn Judgment in your hand, you just feel so much accomplishment really by being able to draw this card. Solemn Judgment just wins you so much advantage having that being said. So I think it's definitely a very, very good card. I think it needs to be in everyone's side deck if it's not already full. I just think it's a really, really phenomenal card. I think it's really, really good, and putting this one at anything lower would be complete disservice and dishonesty to my personal opinion. Ibley. Ibley is really, really good, don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be a must-play if you are able to. There are a lot more ways to go ahead and play around this card, just because, of course, now we see how dominant this card is. Every single sprite variant is going to be able to play this card with ease, the greatest of ease, and just be able to go ahead and spam it to your side of the field and immediately lock you down. Now there are, of course, a lot of ways to get around this: Lingaribo, Ausa, Fur Hire, whatever. So it's not like it's impossible to go ahead and get around this card, but with that being said, it is still a must play just in the event that you're able to go ahead and clear out the out and just hinder your opponent in any type of way. I'm continuing to go ahead and leave this up here until it gets to the point where this card is just completely not viable whatsoever. So, that being said, Lava Golem and Raw Sphere mode. So, I'm going to put Lava Golem as a good, it's going to be a very, very good side deck card, whereas Raw Sphere mode, I'm going to put in the decent. Very rarely, I think, are you going to go to a match where your opponent is just spamming a whole bunch of monsters on the board. Sword Soul ends with 2 monsters. Kashtira can end with 2 monsters. Sprite is the only card that this card will be really viable against. And that's pretty much it, but there's no deck that needs to summon 3 monsters during their turn. I mean, that's the only reason why I don't think Resphere is going to be nearly as good as Lava Golem, because every single deck is going to end on at least 2 cards, except for when Kashtira wants to play around Lava Golem and Nibiru and end on an Arise Heart, but really that's so situational that it's really only up against that one matchup. So I think Lava Golem is absolutely phenomenal. It serves a very, very similar purpose to Regeki, of course, is being able to tribute over your opponent's monsters and take it from there. Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm is a must play. Again, we're in a back row heavy format, guys. If Traptrix doesn't have Arachnacampa, you just go ahead and call back row, take it from there. Or you can even go ahead and destroy the Sarah, which is huge as well. So it's something to keep in mind with Lightning Storm. Swords of Concealing Light, I'm going to put at 2 situational. It's really only good against the Kashtira strategy, because the second that they're Book of Moon, then they can't special summon as much as they would from the hand, especially if you're able to go ahead and out the Birth. So that is a huge hindrance against Kashtira, but it doesn't do enough, I don't believe, in order to be able to put it in a higher slot. Don't get me wrong, a very experienced and very knowledgeable duelist could easily go ahead and play Swords of Concealing Light and top with it. I'm not saying it's a terrible card, I just think it's too situational given the current format. It really is only good against that deck, you know, things like that. So, Antispo Fragrance, I'm very conflicted with this because I want to go ahead and put this as must play because it shuts off a lot of decks, right? This is an auto win button against Branded Despia. Auto win, like done. Which is fantastic. You can play against the Runic strategy with this, which is actually really, really good as well. This doesn't really hinder Sword Soul. It does hurt Kashtira, of course. So I think must play is definitely going to be the best place to go ahead and put it. There's a lot of really, really good side deck options for this format, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. A Pointer of the Red Lotus, I think is a very, very good card. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it near the top of decent. So Pointer of the Red Lotus is a one of. That's the only reason why I want to go ahead and put it at decent, is because yes, while you are getting a lot of hand advantage from your opponent, it's costing you 2,000 life points. You're siding this card in, which means it's likely games 2 or 3, which you're go ahead and risking a quarter of your life points to look at your opponent's hand, and even then you have to make sure that you're able to get to this card first. And it's just, all that being said, while it is a phenomenal side deck card and it's definitely ban worthy, I just think with it being at 1, it's not accessible enough to call it a must play at this current time. Now, I could be wrong. Feel free to roast me in the comment section for it. I don't mind. And we can go ahead and talk about it. But as far as that goes, a Pointer of the Red Lotus, it's a decent side deck card. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Kaijus. Kaijus are, again, I'm going to go ahead and put this as decent. Leave it right here. So Kaijus are in a funny spot right now where in the event that Lava Golem doesn't go off, Sphere Mode can't go off, they still have to end on an Arise Heart, which you just kaiju it and you feel free to go off from there, which I think is really funny. This is, by the way, not representing just Humongous. It's going to be Gamma Seal, any kaijus in general. I think they're in a really interesting spot where a lot of decks are ending on one extremely powerful card, monster I should say, and one that backs it up. So you really tribute whichever one you can't deal with, and you carry on about your day. I think it's really funny. I think this is a decent spot right now. I haven't seen enough representation for the Kaijus in order to put it any higher. But I think Kaijus are in a fun spot. I think they're going to be really good. I think that, again, I'm recording this after YCS Peru. But if whoever the top 8, top 4 or winner are plays Kaijus, I will honestly not be surprised. So I'm going to go ahead and put this, you know what, I'll put it at very good. I think Kaijus are very good this format. Again, whatever you can't deal with, whatever is untargetable, whatever, let's go ahead and tribute over it, slap them, give them a Kaiju, and just go about your plays. I think that's the way to go. But yeah, the last card we're going to be checking out today is, I believe this card is called XYZ Encore, which is actually, I did not know about this until recently. So XYZ Encore is a decent to very good going second option. So essentially what it does is you can target a face-up Xyz monster that has materials, and it pretty much lets you get rid of it whatsoever, and then you go ahead and special summon those materials back. But I think their effects are negated, or no, their level is decreased by 1, which means they can't Xyz summon again, which is actually really good. So honestly, it's the card that's worth checking out. I think it has a lot of potential going second. It has similar potential to a Change of Heart and a Mind Control, but of course Change of Heart and Mind Control are infinitely better, just because they let you take the monster. They don't care. You don't care what it is. It doesn't have to be an Xyz monster. Although we are in a very Xyz heavy format. You know, Trap Tricks, Sprites, Cash Tira, some of the big 3 names on there. I think that Mind Control, of course, Change of Heart. Actually, you know what? I'll put XYZ Encore in decent. It's a decent card. But I just think it should not be in the same category as Mind Control or Change of Heart. That was entirely my bad. But yeah, that is going to be it for my side deck, best side deck card tier list, guys, for the March 2023 format. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If there a card... Is there a card that I missed on here? If there is, let me know in the comments and we can definitely go ahead and talk about it. But I think overall, you got my honest opinions on some of the best cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Some of the best cards in the game. Again, if I'm wrong about any of these, let me know in the comments. If I missed one, let me know in the comments. We'll discuss it. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think again in the comment section down below. If you guys do enjoy these type of tier list videos, let me know by smashing that like button and subscribing for more content, guys. Make sure you also hit that notification bell so you don't miss up on any uploads. Each and every single subscribe helps out. Each and every single like and comment helps out quite a bit for the algorithm. So thank you guys so much for doing so. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one.